Yesterday we came and dropped off my car at the ranch. It was getting too late, so we didn't have time to take apart the engine because it was already going to get dark. So what we're going to do today is pretty much I'm going to drain out the radiator and start taking off the heads, the carburetor, the intake manifold, pretty much everything around the engine, just to get it ready so I could pull it out and go ahead and start the rebuild on this engine so it could go into my truck. But for right now, we're just gonna disassemble everything. All right, so what I'm gonna do is remove all these 4 bolts that are holding the fan cover on. But once I take off the fan cover, I'm gonna go ahead and undo the hoses and undo the lines from the transmission that go here. Start draining out the radiator. Once I drain that out, I'm gonna go ahead and pull it out, put it back in the truck so it can stay there for right now. And then both my hands to do the work. I was recording with one hand and trying to take off the bolts with the other, but I couldn't do that. So what I ended up doing is taking off the alternator brackets, and the power steering, which is right there. I ended up taking that off. And what I usually do is is I put the bolts back in. If they could go in back where they belong, that's what I do. So that way I don't lose any. And then what I'm gonna do right now is start taking off the carburetor, which is these bolts. There's one here, one right there, and then 2 more in the back. And then I also undid the brake booster line, which is over there, which I undid that. And then I undid the fuel line, and then also the PCV line that went here to the intake manifold, to the cover. So I'm just gonna start taking off the bolts, and it should pop right off. I hope it should be. And then I took off the linkage, which is there's a linkage that goes here. There's a linkage that goes here, and it has a pin. You can see that right there. There's a little pinhole. You pull out that pin, and then on this bottom one, there's also this line right here. This line right here. And what that does, what it just clips on to this thing. So you pull this black thing forward, and it should unlock it. And you just let it go, and it should just fly back. And there you go. Your linkage is not attached. is not connected, so I didn't really have to undo that one because I never had it connected. So it should pop right off just like that. And then I'm just gonna put this off to the side. There you go. So there you go. And then there's a gasket that sits here. I don't know, like if you're gonna take yours off, if it's still good, you can reuse it. But if you see a tear in it and all that, just replace it. So now what we're gonna do next is I'm just gonna pull out all the spark plug wires, just because the engine's gonna be coming out, so I don't need a specific on how it's gonna go. Just gonna pull them right out and worry about when we get to that part when we start rebuilding it, assembling it back together again. This is what I was able to do. I didn't record much, but I was able to get some stuff done. I was able to remove the front accessory stuff, the alternator and the steering pump, the radiator. I was able to remove that, and the intake manifold and the carburetor and the distributor. I was able to remove that stuff. The only thing that's left to remove are the rockers and the heads. Once I take those off, I'll be able to access the bolts that hold the engine to the transmission. I'll be able to remove those and get it ready to get pulled out, so that way it can get on the engine stand. Once it's on the engine stand, I'll be able to do a little overhaul, so that way I can put it into this truck. This truck has a V6. I like it. The V6 hasn't gave me problems. It's just when I need to haul stuff, it's just, you know, it kind of overheats the truck because it's too heavy in the back. It puts too much stress on the engine. So, you know, and I do use this truck for things. I daily drive this truck, so that's the reason why I'm throwing the V8 in there, the V8 305 in there with the same transmission that's coming out of the Firebird. And on this one, you know, this one's gonna have, I have a 454 2-bolt main. It came out of I think a 73 or 74 Chevelle. It's never, that 454 hasn't been rebuilt, bored out, anything like that I see. So I'll be able to show a video of me rebuilding that one. It's gonna be very precise on a build, just because this car, I want it to be a little bit of a drag strip car, take it to the track and do some pulls, do some runs on it. But yeah, I'm not, you know, that's not my main concern at the moment. The main concern is getting this engine pulled out, rebuilt, and get ready for it to be put into the truck. Because this car is going to be sitting for a while, because right after I do this with this engine, I'm going straight to doing the 454 engine. And meanwhile, in between, I'll be doing like videos of me working on the car, because I do want to repaint it. The hood is kind of oxidized, kind of want to buff it out, see how that goes. If it comes out nice and shiny when I buff it, I'll just leave it as is, but if it doesn't, I'm just gonna get it ready for repainting. Also here, you can see all these rust spots. So I'm gonna grind this out, see how far the rust goes. And if it's pretty bad, I'm just gonna cut it out and just go ahead and put new sheet metal in. And if you can see here, since I live in Texas, heat down here is pretty bad. So like it gets really hot. I don't know, you know, other places are hot too, but here it gets pretty hot. And what it does, it eats up the gloss. And when it eats up the gloss, it starts eating up the paint underneath, and then it starts giving you it starts showing you the metal, and it starts rusting that way. And I kind of want to take care of this before anything else. But yeah, because you know, this is my first car and I really like it. This is how the inside looks. But yeah. Oh yeah, and I do want to put a roll cage in here. You know, remove the passenger seat, keep this one, and remove the back seat. But yeah, this is gonna be my build for this year. I am changing the back wheels, same ones, but I'm gonna go 15 by 10s to give it a bit more wider stance. Change the gears in the back. Not too sure what. Depends on how I'm gonna build that engine and how much power I'm gonna be putting out. Then that's where I work on what gear ratio I'm gonna be putting in the back. What am I gonna need if I need to change out the whole axle? You know, that's pretty much how this build's gonna go. It's depending on the power of the 454. Depends on how I'm gonna be able to build the rest of the car. But meanwhile that I'm building the 454 and I have downtime and waiting on parts, I am going to be taking care of these rust spots that I have here. I have a couple on the door here, underneath the door on the inside. It's just rusted out, so I'm going to cut that piece out and tack weld new pieces in because it's pretty bad. Pull out this dent because I accidentally backed up into my truck and it caused that dent right there. Yeah, if you can see, the paint is coming off. It wasn't even like this when I bought it. It's just this car sits. I clean it once a week, but just it doesn't sit under the shade. I don't have a garage, so it just sits in the sun and it just eats it out. But yeah, if you can see right here, it's pretty bad. It's like pretty bad rust. I'm hoping I could just, when I grind it down, I can see how far that rust goes, and if it's not that bad, you know, that's good. I can still do a little sheet metal work, but I'm just hoping it is not. I don't have to replace the door because I really don't want to. I like the original door that it has. It's steel. But yeah, because I put in a 454 in here, I do want some weight on the car because I do not want it to lift nor it go crazy on the street, so I don't have no traction. So I'm trying to keep it original with some weight on it just for my safety. I do love going fast and all that stuff, but this car is real small. Like, it's so small, and that 454 is a big motor, and I'm not too sure how much power it's gonna be putting out, but I'd like to get that, you know, like get that the stiffness of this car, so that, you know, when it goes straight. This is also my truck. This truck is what's gonna be getting the V8. You know, right now doing some primer work up here. It's gonna get repainted. The time I repaint this one is the time we paint my brother's car. He has a 70 Galaxy XL. We finished the motor on that one. It's just we didn't have time to record it because we were on a deadline before he goes back to work because of all this pandemic stuff. So we did pull out the engine on his car, rebuilt it, and stuffed it back in. But we have pictures of us doing the work, but you know, I'll be posting them up here on like a little slideshow of all the photos when we did that engine. But the same time as this truck is painted, my brother's car is gonna get painted. This truck is actually dropped. It has a 3-inch to a 7-inch drop, C-notched in the back. Since I'm here, I'm just gonna tell you the build on this one too. This one's C-notched back here, but if you can see, I do not have that much travel. Like, it's very, very little right here. So when I hit a bump, my axle comes and hits the frame, and man, it makes a horrible sound. It hurts to hear it. But you know, I like how it sits right now. I do not want to get it higher. I don't want to lift it back up. So I love the stance right here. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get a 7-inch C-notch kit. I'm gonna weld it together. I'm gonna cut the bed up here and do some work here on the axles, and then tub it back here. You know, it's a little long bed, but I picked it up for $1,000, and it had an engine in it that was pretty good, so couldn't beat the price on it. Yeah, and it's sitting on 22s, but that's pretty much it. I mean, I'm probably gonna sell these 22s because I don't. At first, I liked it. I was like, oh, it look badass with some 22s. But now that I think I want some smaller rims, like maybe 18s or something like that, maybe get it a little bit lower to the ground, make it look better. But yeah, that's pretty much how that's how that truck's gonna go. But yeah, our main focus that I'm gonna be posting is pretty much on this car. If you guys want to know the year, it's an 84 Firebird. Sorry about the wind. But it's an 84 Firebird. And well, yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll be posting videos, I think like once a week, just because I work. But once a week, I'll be posting videos on what I'll be doing and stuff like that. If you guys got any questions, you could just go ahead and leave them in there. Or if I'm, you know, if there's a better way to do it, I like taking information on if there's a better way to do things. You know, leave it in the comments, because you know I do love cars and I do love what I do on as a project. You know, as what I do here. So if you guys have easier way to do things, or if you guys got any ideas and stuff like that, I'm open-minded, man. I love this stuff, you know. But yeah, pretty much it. But I'll see you guys later, and we'll show you. I'll be up with this another video showing you what I do next. All right, peace out, man.